The time is 3 p.m. on Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. I'm calling to order the Board of Equalization. Today we have with us Commissioners Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, Klug, as well as Scott Bovic, our Deputy County Administrator, Tebby Belushi and Amber Hotelling from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, Jeff Mikesell, our Treasurer, Dan Pittman, our County Assessor, Zach Hergenrader, our County Engineer, and Greg London, our Sheriff. If you could please silence your cell phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the boardroom. I do want to open it up to public comments for agenda item 4 if there's anybody that wishes to address the Board of Equalization. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, the consent equalization agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Burmeister, second by Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
All right, moving on to the regular equalization agenda. Item 6.1, rejection of a motor vehicle exemption application for 453 for William Dewar for a 2025 BMW X5. Before we open this up, I do want to hand over to Jim Warren for some comments.
Thank you. By way, first of all, for those that are required to come in for these, I want to apologize that I think it's a unicameral bill that went wrong, and the part that went wrong, I think part is the fact that they put a termination date. You had to have it in by such and such a date. I know we have another gentleman here today that was 1 day late, and I don't think that was the original intent. The board in the past has automatically, at our legals nudging, automatically gone ahead and approved your request. And if there aren't extenuating circumstances, I think the board's going to continue to do that. So I've talked to Annie before the meeting and asked her if, Annie's our legal rep over here, ask her if she'd be willing to come up with a resolution so that we don't have to have you guys come in. Number one, you shouldn't have to. You're getting a benefit you deserve. It's not something you need to come and beg for. And that we're just going to get something done that'll be approved, hopefully by the board, that'll then be passed on to the our treasurer's office that says, if you reject it, we're going to approve it, so that can be handed to them then, and then we have to go through whatever procedure it's done. But hopefully maybe one more meeting, next meeting, if we can get a resolution put together, we can avoid these. You guys, you shouldn't have to be in here. I apologize for that. So,
thank you, Jim. I do want to open it up if anybody wishes to address item 6.1. Yeah, please come forward. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
yep.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is William Dewar, and I live in 7904 South 192nd Avenue, Gretna, Nebraska, 68028. Okay, and number one, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today and to address this appeal of mine. I think about the 95,000 disabled veterans in the state of Nebraska, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that was not notified of this change in the law. I received absolutely no notice of this, and this is a significant change in benefit for veterans. I think that, talking about the law and how it was rolled out, I think we have to look at the spirit of the law. Spirit of the law is that we care about our veterans here in Nebraska. And, if they have to jump through hoops or they miss something, I mean, come on, that's not what this is all about. This is about recognizing the sacrifices that military families and veterans have gone through, and I mean, you know, I worked for the Department of the Army, and also, besides the fact I was active duty, I then worked for the Department of the Army, and I took care of the most ill, injured, wounded soldiers, AW2, and in here in Nebraska and other states, but a lot of my soldiers, I mean, they were severely, well, actually all of them were severely injured, whether it was, you know, loss of limbs, brain, you know, traumatic brain injury, PTSD. And so we have to take a look at their world and their life. And to think that someone could just know that there's a change without any kind of notice or any kind of contact, I think that's a bit much. And I think at a minimum, I'm sure that someone has the names of the individuals in Nebraska that have disabilities. That should be hopefully that would be like the county departments of veteran affairs offices, and so working with different offices to come up with the names and somehow contact them to let them know. I mean, talking about affordability, I mean, it's tough out there, and they've done their job. The veterans have done their job, and so we have to show how much we care by not just passing legislation, but by taking that legislation and helping them understand it and use it. I mean, that's the whole point, is for them to use it. So thank you very much.
I think this board totally agrees with you, and that's why we've been pushing these along. Obviously, this came down through the unicameral, and again, they put hard and fast deadlines, and don't have a provision yet that gives you some leeway based on circumstances. And I always think that's ironic, because when the government is at fault, I don't think anybody gets to penalize us. So, So thank you for your coming and speaking.
Sure, you bet.
Yeah. And thank you for not only your service, but for your advocacy. Yeah. And possibly, Scott, if you help me with a reminder that we can get a hold of Veterans Affairs and see if we can't somehow figure out a letter or somehow to contact those within SARPI.
Yep, for sure.
Mr. Doerr, thank you for your service. Sure. We are very supportive of our veterans here. Let me just ask a couple questions. Sure. This board is unfortunately not the final say on this matter either, so it helps us to help you by having a little bit of information. I think let me understand, you renewed your registration on April 10th, correct?
No, I had, I guess I don't know the exact date, but yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I did for my BMW, yes.
Okay, so had you ever applied for this exemption previously?
I didn't even know there was an exemption.
Okay.
Okay. Not until June the 12th, I think it was.
Sure. And then I think there was some question about, there has to be, I think for the treasurer's office, there has to be some evidence of the actual disability.
Yes.
And I think we might have been missing that. Is that right, Annie? Is this the one we were missing?
Well, there was no contact. Yes, there was no contact from the VA. I mean, I worked with Sarpy County for years. I mean, on my disabilities. So they obviously knew that. And I went to them as soon as I heard about this. I knew that the first step was to make sure you can't work with them, and I did that before I even came over here to file for the exemption. So they have it. It's on file now. I mean, it was done on the 12th of June or 15th, whatever that Monday was. I think it was the 15th of June. The VA, I went to the VA and took care of all that stuff. I mean, but I've been working with them for years.
Sure.
I'm no new customer for them. So I mean,
Annie, do you know what we're missing in terms of the disability? Just from looking at the summary there, I think there was.
My understanding is there's a certification that comes from the VA's office directly to the treasurer, and that I think is what we were missing. But Jason, do you have more insight on that? Sorry.
We received a summary letter that our veterans have.
Did you come?
Website.
And that was done on June the 15th, what you're talking about. So
Sorry, Jason. Go ahead. Tim Henderson, I'm the Director of Veteran Services. We received on the 15th of June notification that from your benefit summary letter that the VA has granted the service-connected disability. We need that to update our system. Since this was a new rollout at the beginning of the year, we have to update the system again. It's not an automatic system. So for evidence and proof that our veterans are service-connected, we need to update that, and that's what we did on the 15th of June.
Would you have had in your system prior to this year a document that would have given you that information for last year, even though there wasn't an application?
I would have to look at some of the older systems that we had. It's not, sometimes veterans are temporarily service-connected, so sometimes those disabilities could come and go. So that's why we request the newest letter from the VA to show the updated information.
Okay.
Yeah, the county also, when it comes for the homestead exemption, the county takes kind of, lets the veteran, know about this and stuff. So, I mean, there was contact on that situation recently here, because every 5 years you have to reapply, kind of redo it. And that comes from the Sarpy County Veterans Affairs Office there, as far as the letter that, but anyway.
Mr. Doerr, was your service-related disability the same last year as it is this year?
I've been permanent, for 10 years, over 11 years.
Okay. And do you know off the top of your head, was the county Veteran Service Office, did they have that information from you previously?
Yeah, again, they when you put in for the homestead exemption, right? I mean, they're in that loop, because you need a letter every 5 years, kind of, for the homestead exemption thing. And so, and they're part of that loop.
Perfect. So. And I'm sorry, Jason, I interrupted you. I can't remember what we asked you, but did you have something to add?
Nope, nothing that's already been said.
Okay. And then Annie, so you're probably following where I'm going with this, but the problem here is that the process wasn't started by April 1st, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's just the process of notifying the office that there's going to be an application, since all these folks don't have the paperwork in order to do it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to approve it on the basis that the previous information in the Veteran Services Office file constituted notice.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Dewars, I would simply say thank you for your service and for being here today and for your advocacy. Obviously, the spirit of the law is an excellent thing. We have a few things to iron out between that to make this easier for everybody. So thank you for being here, an advocate here today.
Thank you. And my job, pretty much most of my life was to help, advocate for others. And I always do that for all veterans, not just myself. But when I speak for all veterans, meaning that, we have to take care of all of them and stuff. So. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Right, item 6.2 is rejection of motor vehicle exemption from Form 453 from John L. Bowden for 2024 Jeep Compass. Open up to any questions or comments if anybody from the public wishes to speak to this item. If not, you don't feel obligated. Any comments from the board? This is following a similar path of what we've seen for the last couple weeks.
So I think it's the same issue. As I look at the...
It is. I am gone.
Yeah.
Would you like to address the board? Or? Okay, perfect.
Just assume.
So as I look at the documents that are attached to the agenda item, it looks like on March 25th, there was a suggestion from the treasurer's office and having to do with the paperwork. That is always the problem, is that the county offices don't have any control over this issue. They're waiting on the VA's paperwork, and that's what the cog in the system is a problem. And the county offices, neither the treasurer's office or the board really has any control over that, and not the veteran service officer either. So we always have this problem where a notification is required, but you can't really do that until you have the document in hand. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve this exemption on the basis that the March 25th conversation was notification under the statute.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Warren. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passed.
If I can make one comment.
Please do.
We're still at the mercy of the state. So we are saying, they've given us the ability to say yes or no, but they do that in other times and they still override us. So it may not hurt to be in contact with the state as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Moving on to 6.3 is notice of valuation changes over under clerical errors. There were 18. Dan Pittman, our assessor, is here to answer any questions if we have any. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Warren. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passed.
Lastly, I have 6.4 is tax corrections 17,973 through 17,988. Once again, Dan Pittman is here to answer any questions, should we have any. Would entertain a motion.
So you were also here on a homestead exemption?
Supposedly, Valerie from the Lincoln sent you information to correct this.
So is it any of those that are in these? No, so we don't have any information on that from the state yet?
I sent Valerie paperwork in the mail to Valerie, and she called me a couple days later and said that it was accepted and that she would send the information to you folks.
Okay.
The homestead exemptions were on the consent agenda. They were all
Approved.
decreases in the taxes. They were increasing the amount. So I can verify whether or not.
So if you would talk to Annie, it looks like we've got that one done for you.
Or
I'm
if
sorry,
not,
what?
it might be on the next.
Yeah.
If that
Oh,
just
it's not
happened, it
on this
might not be on this one.
Mr. Pittman, do you know, is it on this agenda or on the next time?
I don't see, it's Bowden, correct?
Yes, sir, if we get your name.
Stevens,
Stevens.
Richard Stevens.
Richard Stevens is on this agenda, and
Yeah.
it was a deducted tax of $3,168.72. It
Right.
went from 0 to 60%.
Yes.
Okay?
So it was approved on the consent agenda earlier
We had
for
some
the
numbers,
reduction.
60.
Yes.
Sound right? All right.
Yes.
Okay. We're good then?
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, I would entertain a motion for agenda item 6.4.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Mixon. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
There's no need for executive session this afternoon. With that, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned. All right. The time is now 3:18. I'm calling to order the Board of Commissioners. With us today, we have Commissioners Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as Scott Bovick, our Deputy County Administrator, Tebby Belushi and Amber Hotelling from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, Jeff Mikesell, our Treasurer, Dan Pittman, Assessor, Zach Hergenrader, our County Engineer, Greg London, our Sheriff, and David Jones, our Election Commissioner, are with us today as well. Do want to open up to public comments. Is there anybody that wishes to address the Board of Commissioners? Seeing as none, we'll move on to the Commissioners and Administrators' comments and announcements. Commissioner Burmeister.
I would just add that we have Judge Martinez, Judge Cox, and Judge Moore here, along with Barb Poussin from County Court.
Welcome.
Did I miss anybody? Okay.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment, thank you.
I just wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. Opportunity to celebrate our independence. Moving on to the consent commissioners agenda, items 5.1 through 5.6. Would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
All right, moving on to planning and zoning agenda. 6.1 is a public hearing on resolution 2026-188. special use permit in agricultural farming district for the commercial recreational area on property legally described as tax lot 26A in section 27, township 13N, range 12E of the 6th prime meridian in Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located southwest of South 87th Street and Cowie Drive. Probably mispronounced that. Applicant, Long Island Gravel Company, Robert LaRocco, Planning Director. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. As noted, this is a special request for approval of a special use permit to allow a commercial recreation area for property southwest of Hawaiian Village, approximately 71.18 acres of land, currently developed with 4 cabins, along with several water well housings that are operated in agreement with the City of Papillion, and an existing firearms range, the Papillion Gun Club. West of the club is existing Long Island Lake. You can see the city map here. Platte River is adjacent to the south. The applicant is proposing to build 1 additional cabin on the site on land located between the gun club and Long Island Lake. This is a change, I should note, from the original siting of the cabin that was approved at the Planning Commission meeting. You take a look at the exhibit here. The original cabin siting was right about here. Upon review, City of Papillion saw that and noted some concerns related to existing wetlands as well as proximity to the well housings that were on the site. So the applicant agreed to move the proposed residence farther to the north and east to this location here. There are no changes in use proposed or required of the existing cabins, of the gun club, or of the well housings that are existing on the property today. A number of the cabins, along with other recreational uses, currently exist kind of are across the site for private use of the residents. Long Island Gravel Company is the owner of the overall property. Because of this, it is appropriate, because of this unique combination of uses, it's appropriate that this use be designated as commercial recreation area, which is a special use in the AG, or agricultural farming district. Working with the applicant, they determined they could submit that application for review. The request is in compliance with zoning and future land use plan. As we noted, the site plan has been reflected to update the new location of the house. With the revised cabin location, the applicant did provide a letter of concurrence from the Papillion Gun Club. You'll note that it seems as though it's in pretty close proximity to the gun club, but the gun club noted their support for the request and the revised location of the cabin. Also note that the property is located within the AE flood zone, so the construction of the cabin will need to comply with all applicable floodplain development regulations, including elevation of the structure. The operations plan and emergency plan that were required, those revisions that were required by the Planning Commission, have been submitted as a part of the materials. We've included them here today if you wanted to take a closer look at that. The request complies with the requirements of the Sarpy County zoning ordinance. So staff recommends approval of the special use permit to allow commercial recreation area in the AG district to be approved with the conditions noted in the recommendation report. Staff is available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Robert. This is a public hearing. Do you want to open up if there's anybody from the public that wishes to address this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open for comments from the board or a motion.
Motion to approve 6.1.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister. Any further discussion from the board?
I just have one question. A structure, I don't know how many people will be down there at any one point in time, but are any of the structures able to withstand for emergency shelter? Or do we require any emergency shelter for this? And this has come up before, maybe before your time, but it's come up before where we have a lot of little private lakes, and then they do campsites, and obviously we had a tornado in 2019, I believe, that hit some of those, and people really didn't have any protection because you're in a floodway and the structures are not permanent, and you know, I know the sheriff just left. This was brought up before, and former Sheriff Davis was always in favor of having something there that would be a permanent enough structure for an emergency, a storm emergency.
Well, I would say that the specific use characteristics of this commercial recreation area doesn't include, at this point, any open air camping. All of these are cabins that are essentially operating as private residential facilities. And so those the ability of those to withstand a storm would be typical of any single family residences that would be, you know, in a similar situation with that kind of a storm potential. As for the other existing uses on the site, i.e. the gun club, I don't know the structural capacity of those facilities.
So is the gun club private, or is the gun club a public type facility?
It's a private facility.
Private, just members only?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just, I guess, noting as we go forward when we have these requests and we're looking at a number of people in an area, whether they're leasing or renting space or however it is, that we're looking at emergency shelter structures.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think, you know, again, the specific use characteristics, the way it operates is unique in this instance. But I think as officials, we're all aware of, in the recent past, there's been danger and concern with these types of uses and the impact that weather can have on them. You know, they did include an emergency operations plan that would look at like a flood event and how evacuations would occur. If this was a different type of commercial recreation area akin to, say, a campground or, you know, recreational lake, we would certainly require that operations plan and to address that type of issue.
And thank you. I think you addressed my concerns, and also just knowing a little bit about a gun range or a skeet and a bunker. I mean, the bunker could be a shelter area, actually, from the trap bunker could actually be a shelter. So I'm okay with this, with it being very limited in how many people. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Robert. All right, moving on to the regular commissioners' agenda. 7.1 is a public hearing and resolution 2026-177, increase appropriations for fiscal year FY 2026 for 2 special revenue funds. Daniel Tlakis, Chief Financial Officer.
Commissioners, good afternoon. This is the first in a series of 3 resolutions that are on the agenda today that pertain to the closeout of the fiscal year 26 budget year. For these 2 special revenue funds, we received higher than anticipated revenues, and this resolution would provide the appropriation to expend those additional funds in accordance with their intended purposes. The total amount being added to the fiscal year 26 budget per this resolution is $126,000. I'll hear for any questions you have. As a reminder, this is a public hearing.
Thank you, Dan. As Dan just mentioned, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to address item 7.1? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open up to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
Item 7.2, Resolution 2026-189 is an increase appropriation for fiscal year FY 2026 General Fund Departmental Budgets. Once again, Dan Tlakis, CFO.
Thank you again. This second item would provide the authority to the Fiscal and Budget Office to transfer fiscal year 26 appropriation between departments within the general fund as outlined on the resolution. The general fund in total is under budget, and these transfers would not impact that statement. The total of these transfers is $574,000, which represents about 0.5% of our general fund budget. We do have representatives from these departments in attendance today if there are any specific questions.
Thank you, Dan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion passed.
Item 7.3, Resolution 2026-178 is increase in appropriations for federal grant fiscal year FY 2026 for certain departments' budgets. Dan Flake is CFO.
This final item is very similar to the last resolution in that it provides the Fiscal and Budget Office the authority to transfer fiscal year 26 appropriations between departments in our federal grants fund. The total amount being transferred in that fund will be $49,739. Available for any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions or comments from the board?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it, but do any of those departments want to address the board for any reason?
All right, motion by Mixon, second by Burmeister. Any final discussion? Please vote. Thank you, Dan.
Motion passed.
Lastly, 7.4, Resolution 2026-180, Professional Services Agreement Amendment Number 4 with Schemmer Associates, Inc. for the engineering design services of 168th Street, Highway 370 to Harrison Street, Project C77, 21-01, in the amount of $645,911. Zach Hergenreiter and Shane Swope.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a supplemental agreement for additional design and CE services, or categorical exclusion services and documentation for 168th Street. I've got Shane Swope here from Schemmer to give a brief overview of where we are with this project and next steps moving forward. So I'll turn it over to Shane.
Good afternoon. As Zach said, this project spans from Highway 370 up to Harrison Street. It includes the major roads, Cornhusker, Giles, and Harrison as part of the study area. A few notes I've made. I'm sure you guys are all familiar. We've been working on this project since 2022. We went through a locally let plan in hand without funding secured. It sat for a couple of years. Now in 2024, after multiple requests for funding, MAPPA did authorize $26.8 million towards this corridor. Additionally, in coordination with the City of Omaha, we have additional $9.7 million for the study of Harrison Street, which I know you guys are all probably as interested in that corridor as we are. We're very excited. It's awesome that MAPPA committed that money. It obviously jump-started this project. We redid the DR 530, which is the programming request to raise the threshold to 80 million, a little over 80 million for the corridor. And part of this will be an interlocal agreement with the City of Omaha. We know that we need to do work at Harrison Street in conjunction with what we're doing in Sarpy County. So I'm very excited for that. The second thing that was very exciting is we held the PCM 20, a project coordination meeting in late fall of 25 and got this CE determination, which is the lowest level of CE documentation. So going forward, this amendment in front of you is basically a 15-month schedule to get through an approved CE document. And that opens us back up to everything we've been talking about with the corridor, the BNSF bridge, and kind of how we may package this project going forward. I think the important thing that is in the amendment is we can't really do any additional work, especially with right-of-way, until we get through an approved CE document. So going forward, we're targeting next summer for the approved CE document, and then from there on, we can do what we want, locally fund BNSF bridge if that's the way we want to stay, and then continue working towards utilizing that MAPPA, the federal match, as we see fit, probably with that Giles to Harrison corridor being the highest priority for all of us. So I think it was important to note that we are coordinating some of this with the City of Omaha. I've been a pretty big believer. I know, Jim, you will know that on the Giles Road widening project that we completed, that was a significant improvement. All of that pavement that's on the ground will be utilized for the future maintaining access as we do the full reconstruction of that corridor. So similarly, I think we're planning to do some amount of interim work with Harrison Street to alleviate some of the strain that's there today as we continue working forward into those future years. So 2027 probably for the approved document, and then BNSF probably being Sarpy County's highest priority would be like a 28 project is where we are. So really this federal funding and going through that process has set us back maybe 1 year. So Again, very exciting. I think it's awesome that we've identified this and we have a path going forward. And as we work with Scott, it's important to note as we get through the CE document and get that approved, it's going to give us an opportunity to request additional MAPA funding. So,
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Do the commissioners have any questions for us?
Entertain a motion.
I noticed 16 years ago when they redid part of it down by 180th and 370, I said, why can't we put in an extra turn lane? Oh, the project's too far along. Well, yeah, we're past due. How soon do we think construction could start on this?
So yeah, the BNSF, I think we'll stay with the locally funded. I didn't talk about timelines. The 26.8 is kind of committed in 2031. I think what we hear from MAPA is that money could be available sooner based on other projects lagging. So I would still be targeting 2027 fall for the BNSF project, being the highest priority is that bridge replacement, to be 28, 29 construction, a year construction. So I think we're targeting about 2 years from now to hopefully be ready to do a BNSF bridge.
So will we have the Burlington Bridge closed for a year plus, and then we're going to come back later and potentially do more street work? And there again is the problem. It's now not closed for a year and a half, it's closed for 3 years. Is there any way those can be done more in conjunction?
So one, Zach, go ahead. But, so one of the things that Shane mentioned is coordinating with the city of Omaha. They have received an award from MAPA too for Harrison Street. And so I think we're meeting here in the next month to make sure, are we setting this all up together? Do we want to make sure that we try to do this at one time so we're not going back for the next decade and continue to inconvenience people? So the plan now is get the NEPA done by next summer. We want to address that bridge, but there may be an opportunity with the city of Omaha to look at a bigger picture to try to get that done all at once. But we need to just see the MAPA funding requirements, where Omaha's at on their project, and try to coordinate that. I will say that getting the 180th Street corridor opened and built is giving us can imagine what we would have to do if we had to close 168th now without that being there. So I think we're set up well, but we really need to make sure that coordinating with Omaha, making sure MAPA knows this is a priority. How do we put our money together, make sure we do it all at once in an efficient way? Yeah.
From my phone ringing, if we close that for 3 years, it's going to be the end of some people's lives. It's just.
And we can phase the roadway construction also to leave it open.
Yeah, we appreciate consideration, and as much as that can be done.
Yeah, I think we'd want to close the bridge. When we reconstruct the bridge, we'll want to close the road, but then beyond that, we will phase to keep it open. So the bridge will be in place, and as we phase north and south of that in that mile, certainly we need to keep it open just because there's access to, it's the only access to multiple neighborhoods, Cedar Ridge and Millard Park. Those are the only accesses they have. So beyond the bridge, we will maintain access.
Any further questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any final discussion? Please vote. Thanks, guys.
Motion passed.
With that, there's no need for executive session this afternoon. With that, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned.